My top 15 tips after 15 years in Ableton. I've been at this production thing for quite a long time. I've gotten over 100 million streams on Spotify. I've toured the world. I've been successful as an artist and a producer. And I'm gonna distill 15 years of knowledge, wisdom, skills, tips, hacks, whatever you wanna call them. 15 years of gold into 15 different tips that you can apply to your own production workflow. And I can pretty much guarantee that if you watch all 15 of these, you're gonna get at least a few different takeaways that are really gonna help you in your journey as a producer. I am qualified to teach you, and all you have to do is watch and take away what's actually going to be useful for you. I don't want to waste any of your time, so let's go ahead and get right into tip number 1. Tip number 1 is going to be use OTT. If you don't know what OTT stands for, it stands for over the top, because it just makes stuff sound absolutely huge and over the top. So this is what a sound sounds like before OTT. Pretty good, right? This is with OTT though. It just like absolutely smashes it and makes it sound huge. Once again, this is without it, and this is with it. So I use OTT whenever I just need a sound to sound bigger, whether it's like a pluck or a bass sound. It works really well in electronic dance music, but it can also work great in regular music or indie music. You can even throw it on things like drums, but I love using it on basses and mids like this pluck right here. So let me show you how to actually get this going in Ableton. Let's say that you have your sound, okay? So we just have this ARP sound, but we're like, it's not big enough. We want it to sound huge. Well, you go into Ableton here to Audio Effects to the left, and then you go under Multi-Band Dynamics and you drag OTT in your Audio Effects area down here. Then what you want to do is you want to drag these teal boxes down like this so they turn sort of this reddish color, and that's adjusting the compression. And then you want to play with this middle range right here until it sounds good. And then you can add your highs right here to taste just by dragging like this. You can obviously push it, it sounds kind of harsh, so you got to balance it out. And then sometimes OTT can add a lot of unnecessary low end, so you could just drag an EQ onto it like this and just click this X4 and scoop out this unnecessary low end. So before and after. It's just like the ultimate compressor. So use OTT and it'll make stuff huge. I added some drums and a bass real quick just so you could hear it in context. This is without OTT. It's fine, but this is just so much bigger. A lot of producers use this, and this is a way to make like each of your elements just as chunky and take up as much space as possible, and it makes your drops sound huge, especially in EDM. Okay, on to the next tip. Tip number 2 is to use the arpeggiator. What's an arpeggiator, you ask? Well, an arp turns chords into individual notes that are played in a sequence. So here we have our sound from before, which was plucky. So this is what it sounds like without an arp. But what we can do is we can make it way more interesting by going to MIDI effects, going to our arpeggiator and dragging this to the beginning of our whole instrument effects area. And that will cause this to play notes consecutively like this. And then we can go ahead and tweak settings. We can lower the gate. We can raise the rate to 1/16. All of a sudden, it's cool. It's interesting, right? You can play with the rate too. And I guess you can do milliseconds here, so you don't have to lock it to the grid or anything. And you know, I feel like a lot of DJs and builds kind of do an effect like this where it's like, then it would be like, anyway, the ARP is such a sick effect, so hopefully I sold you on it. It comes with Ableton. There's no reason why you shouldn't try it out. My third tip is to use something called chord scale. Now what this is in Ableton is if you struggle with music theory or drawing chords in, trying to figure all that out, there's basically kind of an easy mode to do this in Ableton. So let's say we didn't have these chords. Oh my gosh, the chords are gone. Well, what we can do is we can highlight a section here, press Command-Shift-M to make a new MIDI clip, double click on the clip to bring it up here in the piano roll, and it's like, oh, we have all these notes. It's so daunting. How do we know which notes to do for a chord? Well, let's click on this headphone icon so we can hear the notes. And then what we could do is here where it says scale to the left, we can pick a key. So let's just do C major. And then here is the hack. Right here in Ableton, it says scale. So we can click on that. And now only notes in the scale of C major are showing. Right? So how do we draw in chords with this? Well, what we do is we can draw in some notes just by double clicking and dragging them out like this, moving them around. I'm just holding Option, by the way, when I drag to make more notes like this. So what we did was we drew a little pattern like this. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna highlight all these notes, hold Option and drag up and just skip a note. And then we're gonna do that one more time. Check this out. Chords on demand. You can even do it one more time. So, sounds awesome. Now we can go back and add our ARP from earlier. And it's like all of a sudden you're a music theory whiz. You can do chords and all that stuff. You can go ahead and press Command A to select all the notes, hold Shift and press the down arrow. And that's like an octave lower, kind of more vibey. And then you can click on scale again and you have all your notes back to where they regularly would be on a piano roll. So this is an easy way to get chords on demand. Would highly recommend it for those of you who are struggling in music theory. I also have a video where I cover actual music theory. If you don't want to use this little scale hack, you could check that out right up here. It's all the music theory you need to know to become a professional producer. And it's literally just a 20-minute video and I cover everything you need to know. All right, on to the next tip. My fourth tip is to put a limiter on your master. This made such a big difference in my production, in my mixes. Instead of like trying to get the mix perfect, sending it to mastering or exporting it and then trying to master it myself, just get your mix sounding as good as possible. And as long as you have a limiter on your master channel like this, you can export it. And believe it or not, it's done. You can upload it to DSPs, send it straight to Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, all that stuff. So what I do is I use Pro L2 on my master. I put it on this practically clipping preset. If you can't find it, just go to V1 preset folder, go to clipping, go to almost clipping. And then what you want to do is adjust this to 0.18. That will get you good to go. You can play with these styles and see what you like the best. All around is pretty safe though. You can see without this limiter on the master, if I drag this up so you can see the main here to the right, we are really starting to clip and peak because this is really freaking loud, especially with that OTT cranking on there. But with the limiter on, we can see we can play a little bit more with it being louder because right now it's not clipping as much. It's still kind of distorting a little bit just because it's so loud. But if you'll notice, it sounds clearer and we're not going above 0 dB. So the thought process is the louder you push your song, the more it goes above 0 dB into this red like this, the more it's going to distort and go down in quality. But if you can keep it, limit it at 0 dB, it will sound better and preserve some of the quality. But a lot of this is coming from this bass that I can turn down. And if you don't have Pro L2, no worries at all. You could just use an Ableton limiter. You could just drag a limiter right onto your master channel like this. Ableton even has some presets that you can play with. I like Independence or even True Peak Limiter. Just with auto for release. And these settings right here will get you pretty close to Pro L2, although Pro L2 is my favorite. So don't over stress about like mixing your song, exporting it, and then mastering it separately. This is the easiest method. It's gonna get your mixes sounding the cleanest and your masters as loud as they can be without clipping and all that stuff. This next tip is a huge help. If you struggle with organizing your projects and all your sessions, what I do is I have my Dropbox folder, which looks like this. And in this Dropbox folder, I have all these different things that I want to keep uploaded to the cloud so I don't lose anything. And right here, I have all my sessions. This is all my Ableton sessions, all in one folder called Sessions. And that way, if I want to send one of these projects to someone, these projects have everything in them. It's saving the samples, Ableton project info, the Ableton session itself. And so what I do is if I'm working on a project like this in Ableton, I'll go to File, Save live set as. And then what I'll do is I will save it in that sessions folder just like this, and then go to File, Collect All and Save. Make sure all these are yellow and hit OK. And that way now everything is saved in this project folder. I have all the samples I was using. And so I can just right click on this. I can go to copy link, and then I can just paste that link. I can email it to someone and they have the whole project with all the samples. And also as I'm working and I'm pressing save in Ableton, it's saving my updates into that folder into Dropbox. So it's all being uploaded to the cloud and backed up as I'm working. And that is quite the hack, let me tell you. And this Dropbox folder is on an external hard drive, so I can transfer stuff from computer to computer. I can work wherever I am. Very convenient. That was a huge hack and a huge step up for me. So at the very least, at least make a sessions folder on your computer so all your sessions are in the same folder. Please do this, because I didn't for so long and everything was so messy I couldn't find anything. So just try and stay relatively organized, please. Okay, my next tip is to use audio effects racks. What does that mean? It sounds kind of complicated, but I've put all these effects on my synth sound. And let's say I want to put them on a different sound in a different project. Well, what you can do is you can click on the first one and hold Shift, click on the last one, and then press Command G. And that's going to put them all in a group like this. And then you click on this little shape right here in the circle, and you click the save icon, and you can save this as 15 tips OTT, or whatever you want to save it as. And let's say we didn't have any effects on this sound, and we wanted it to sound massive. We could drag this 15 tips OTT, and that will drag all those effects that we just had all together at once and make it sound huge. This is so great for developing a sound. And you know what? On that note, coming up with a sound, you can actually literally highlight all of this stuff, everything. Press Command G and then do the exact same thing and save it. However, it's going to save it as an instrument rack instead of an effects rack because we're including the synth and everything. So we could save it as nice arp pluck. We'll do 15. And now let's say that we didn't have an instrument on this and we just had these chords playing nothing. We could drag our nice arp pluck right onto this MIDI track and it'll drag all that stuff on there automatically. So literally we can open any project in Ableton, even a brand new project, and just drag this onto a MIDI track and we have this sound. So this is really cool because you can create a library of sounds that you like and drag them into any project. It's really great for an album if you want stuff to sound cohesive. So yeah, that's actually 2 tips in one, is to use audio effects racks, that's tip number 6, and instrument racks, tip number 7. All right, my next tip is to use favorites up here in Ableton. Now, the new menu system in Ableton 12 has really thrown me off. I got so used to 11. I'm actually still frustrated at the menus. It's just different and I don't like change. And most people struggle with change. But one little workaround is I've tried to find all the plugins that I use all the time. Like let's say in Sound Toys, I'm using Decapitator all the time. What you can do is find the plugin that you use a lot, right click on it and just go to favorites like that. And what that will do is it will add it to this favorites area up here. And you could just do this to all the plugins that you use all the time. And then that way they're super easy to find. You don't have to go sorting through all these menus and all these different developers and stuff. It's hella annoying. Still bitter towards Ableton about that, but that's my workaround. My next tip is automate to innovate. That's kind of a good catchphrase, but what I mean is you want to change stuff over time in Ableton. So in order to see what we're doing in terms of automation, we need to enable automation view, which you just click on this slanted line right here, and then everything looks a little bit different. And now we want to click on the thing that we want to change over time. So I want to change the filter cutoff on this. So listen to this. Doesn't that sound cool? It sounds moody. It's changing over time. So you want to click on the thing you want to change and you'll see this dashed red line appear in Ableton. And then we can click on this and make these little dots and adjust things over time. I'm going to make some little adjustments here. Awesome. We can also adjust this key filter here. We could just play with stuff, clicking on things, dragging them around. And you could just use trial and error and adjust things over time. And this is a really cool way to add dynamics in your song. So you have this sound and you don't want it to do the exact same thing for the whole song. So maybe there's a section with just the arp and you want the filter to like open up and get big when the drums come in. So what you can do is literally just click, create some dots and just fade it in like this. Automation is going to change your life if you haven't been using it up to this point. And it's such a great way just to keep things interesting. If your song doesn't change and evolve over time, you're going to lose people's interest and they're going to listen to something else that's more interesting. Automation also works great on things like drums. So what we can do is we can group a clap and a little percussion thing like this, drag an auto filter onto it, and then automate this frequency right here to sort of filter up. See how it sounds like it's underwater? And then we can have it open up over time, just like this. And you know what we can do too? We can even put some reverb on it, like this, just by dragging reverb into the audio effects area right here, clicking on the dry wet and moving it a little bit. And that's gonna make this dashed red line appear, and then we can automate the dry wet. So maybe it sounds like it's far back in a room. See, with a reverb on it. And then it sounds like it's getting closer and closer. Nice. Another cool thing in Ableton is you can bend lines if you hold Option and click and drag. So that's cool. So. So use automation. It's great. My 10th tip is to mix quietly. Guys, protect your ears. Seriously, you cannot get your hearing back. I'm sure you've heard it before, but mix quietly because it's gonna make your mixes better. What happens is when you're using your studio monitors in a room and you're blasting it, you're way more likely to be hearing weird wonky stuff that the room is doing to the sound. Like if you play a sound louder, it's gonna vibrate more stuff in the room. All the wood, the drywall, all the construction, and it's gonna affect the sound as it goes into your ears. So if you mix quieter, you're more likely to hear the purity of the speakers, just the sound that's coming out of the speakers, not the sound bouncing off the walls and then going into your ears. So mix quieter because it will actually make your mixes better and it will save your ears. It's a win-win. It's just a no-brainer, guys, please. And one way to do this is just to set your mix volume low and then you don't touch the volume after that. You can listen to it later in the car, whatever you want to do. I got videos on mixing, but seriously, set the volume low and just leave it that way. Your mixes will be better and your hearing will be better just in your life after this. I mean, what's the point of trying to create great music if you can't even listen to any of it in like 30 years? Real quick, if you're enjoying this video at all, I would love for you to consider subscribing. I'm here to help you make the best music that you're capable of, and I put a pretty good amount of time and effort into trying to make these videos as good as possible to help you as much as possible. So yeah, consider subscribing. Okay, back to the video. All right, my 11th tip is less is more. You may have heard this before, but basically what I mean is have fewer elements and have each element be as good as it possibly can. A lot of people will stack things. They'll stack like a bunch of different synths to try to make up for the fact that none of them are very good. And they think if they keep layering on a bunch of stuff, it's gonna sound better. Now, let me tell you guys, simple is almost always the best. If you listen to the song Toxic by Britney Spears, it's got like 4 or 5 elements, but each of them sounds so good. And that to me is like the perfect production, the perfect pop song. So to demonstrate this, I'm gonna show you guys my song, Everyday Things, and it's just vocals, guitar, and me clapping to start it off. But it already sounds like complete in that sense. Listen to it.
You're all that I want, all that I need. If I look, I find you.
So simple, right?
Things. You're under the bed, you're up in the trees. If I look, I find you.
And then the only difference is a kick comes in.
I'm addicted and unashamed. I got thoughts of you on my brain. I got every reason.
And when the chorus comes in, the only difference too is I throw in a clap and I throw in a bass.
All that I want, all that I need. If I look, I find you in everyday things.
So if we listen to like just the drums, for example, oh, I added a shaker as well, so. There's not that much happening. I put like an EDM clap in there, an EDM kick, and then I did real shaker and I did real claps to kind of make it sound cool. And then I added a bass. And then I have these guitars that kind of just carry the whole song. And it's just that. Oh, also I have these vocals, which is like a crazy vocal stack. This is what they sound like. And I put auto pan on it to chop it up.
All that I need. If I look, I find you in everyday things.
So just keep it simple, you know, focus on making each of the elements as good as they can be. And I've said this in so many videos, I say it in pretty much every video, but songs can be broken up into just 5 elements. Just have your drums, your bass, your mids, meaning that like cool flamenco style guitar thing, your vocals, which is obviously me singing, and then your effects. And what I mean by effects is sounds like this. Listen to this build here. That's really all production is just getting better at making each of these elements sound better and then work together. It ain't too complicated, but guys, less is more. Stop throwing 5 claps together. Stop having your kick be 3 different things. Just find one good sample or record it yourself. Less is more. All right, my 12th tip is to use a reference. If you are mixing your own music, you're mastering your own music, or even you're just producing it, you want to use references because otherwise you're not going to know if your song is too quiet. You're not going to know if certain things like your vocals or guitar or whatever is too loud. And there are other people who spent their life trying to mix stuff as good as they possibly can. They're the best mixing engineers in the world. And you want to hold your work up against that and to see, what's the difference between my song and their song? And how do I get my song to sound better? So that's the main reason, is because this is actually going to allow you to go past your own personal threshold and get even better and go beyond that. It's by listening to the best work out there, comparing your work to it. So in this project, for me, this is another little hack with using references, is once you have a song of yours that you really like, it sounds as good as it possibly can, it holds up against the references that you used, it sounds exactly the way you want, it's loud enough and all that stuff, you can drag it into Ableton and then use it as a reference for the rest of your album. So what I do is I'll have my first single, it's mixed in a certain way, it's at a certain loudness level, and I'll compare every single song after that to this one song. And that way the whole album, as I'm mixing it and mastering it, it all sounds cohesive and it works together mix-wise, sonically, all that stuff. Or even better yet, you could just drag a third-party reference in. So this is my own song, but you could just go into iTunes, download a song or reference that you want to use, drag it into Ableton onto its own audio track. Make sure you select external out right here to the right so that it's not going through any of your mastering processing. And then you go back and forth, soloing the reference and listening to it, and then unsoloing it and listening to your song. And you go back and forth and compare and adjust accordingly. References have gotten me to the next level so many times in my career. I still use them to this day all the time. And this is one of the main ways that people go from intermediate to advanced and from advanced to professional. So don't overlook this, guys. Seriously, like, use references. There's no shame in it. All it's gonna do is make your music sound better. My next tip is to focus on songwriting. So many people try to just get good at producing, try to make good sounding beats and all that stuff, but they don't know how to write a good song, so no one really listens to their songs. Like, people will get through some of it, that maybe the production's cool, but they'll just get bored because they don't feel anything when they listen to it. In order to get people emotionally hooked to a song, yes, you need a good melody, you need good production, you need a good mix and master, or those things definitely help. But ultimately, if you write a good song, meaning good lyrics, good melody, good chord progression, those 3 things are gonna move somebody's heart when they listen to it. Like, just look at the album For Emma Forever Ago by Bon Iver. Like, those songs just hit on such a deep emotional level, and all he used was an SM57 to record the whole thing. The production's not fancy, it's just good songwriting. There's a reason why there are professional songwriters out there. Like, the biggest artists bring people in who are really good at writing songs because they know a really well-written song is necessary generally to create a hit and to have a memorable album that people become attached to and listen to over and over and over again. I've noticed over the years a lot of people focus on things other than songwriting, when it's like songwriting is the heart of music. And the thing is, if you use great production on a bad song, it's still going to be a bad song with great production. It's like if you paint something like this remote, you do a still life, you do an amazing painting of it. People are going to be like, oh, cool, you know, that's a great painting of a remote. But the subject matter is a remote. No one cares about this. If you paint an amazing portrait of somebody weeping, it's like, that's going to move somebody. So my rant is over. Just focus on songwriting, guys. Try to write good songs. If you don't know how to write a song, it's really easy. I have a method where I use Ableton. It helps you distill all of your ideas down into the best possible songs. And that video is going to help you out so much if you want to improve as a songwriter. You can check that out right up here, and then you can come right back and finish up this video. My next tip is to make things wider. And I'm not talking about eating more till you become some kind of big back monster hiding in the shadows of Arby's. I'm talking about making sounds wider in Ableton to utilize stereo. For so many years, things were just mono. Everything was just recorded right down the middle because there was only like one speaker. Like you would have a record player that would have one speaker attached to it. So stereo didn't matter. And somewhere along the way, headphones became a big thing. Studio monitors being separate, stereo became popular. And so now we have the option to create more depth by having stuff be spread between our right and our left ear. So check this out. Listen to these vocals. If you have headphones, you'll really be able to tell, but listen to how wide these are. They're super wide in the ears. And let me put it in mono really quick so you can hear what I'm talking about. This is mono. Isn't that crazy? It's like kind of boring. It's so small and in the middle of everything. But to make something stereo, basically what you can do is just record the same thing twice. So an easy way to explain this is I have my guitar for this song, and this is what it sounds like. Right? Pretty simple. What I did was I recorded it again. So there's 2 takes. Check this out. These are 2 different takes. I know that they look the same, but they're 2 different takes. And what I did was I panned one left. So look over here to the right. See this? I panned it all the way to the left, and I panned the second one all the way to the right. Now listen to them together. Wow, right? If you have headphones on, you're like, it's so much more immersive than just having one of them in the middle like this. And so what you do to make room, especially for a vocal, is you'll have your vocal be in the middle of the mix like this.
I got thoughts of you on my brain.
And then you have your mid-range instrument recorded twice, pan left and right. So then we have our guitar on the outside of the mix and our vocals right in the middle.
I got thoughts of you on my brain. I got every
Incredible, right?
from old to re-
And there are certain elements that you almost always want to be in the middle of the mix. The kick is one of them. Vocals, especially lead vocal, you want in the middle, and then you can have your background vocals be wide like we did with this guitar. But learning to place things properly in the stereo spectrum really makes your stuff sound a lot more professional. You can listen to this chorus.
all that I need. If I look
There's tons of stereo stuff happening. We have these vocals, we have the guitar, and then we have this shaker. And then we have our bass mono in the middle. We got wide claps. And then we have our kick and clap in the middle of the mix. This is just a great way to make stuff sound more professional. Now, let's say you don't have the luxury of recording something twice. All you have is one take. One thing you can do is you can go ahead and throw some chorus on it. So just go to Audio Effects in Ableton and drag chorus onto it. And as you turn the dry wet up and the amount, you can play with these settings and get stuff to sound a bit wider for sure. Another way to do this is you can go ahead and just drag delay onto it. This is called the Haas effect. I'm gonna unlink the left and right. Make sure they're both on time, feedback all the way down. And I'll drag the left all the way down and I'll drag the right somewhere not all the way down. And I'll turn the dry wet all the way up. And basically you just want to play with these till it sounds wide in your ears. I'm liking the way that jump and ping pong sounds, so I just clicked on those. So this sounds actually pretty close.
all that I need. If I look
But without it, just recording 2 takes left and right.
all that I
To me, you can never beat that stereo sound of having 2 unique takes playing the same part and panning them left and right. All right, guys, my 15th and final tip is to have a plan. This goes beyond Ableton, beyond anything nitpicky production-wise, mixing tips. This is a make or break situation because either you're gonna show up and you're gonna make music or you're not. Either you're gonna keep watching videos on how to make music all day, never apply any of it, and feel like you're making progress, but the reality is you're not. You're just learning things that would help if you actually opened up your DAW and made some music. I know this because I struggle with it all the time, guys. I do the same thing, not for music production, but I do it for like lighting, for video stuff, literally for like any topic, video games. I will just go down a YouTube rabbit hole for hours and hours, and I won't actually move the needle forward. Oh, I've been doing it so much lately on watercolor. Oh my gosh. I would be so much better at painting watercolor if I painted watercolor every day instead of watching videos of other people paint. Now, I will say it's definitely helpful to watch other people that inspire you, and that's a great way to improve. But you have to actually put pen to paper, so to speak. And in my case, I actually have to paint watercolor. In your case, you have to open up Ableton and create music. Now, one thing that actually does help is following a course, like having a step-by-step video that you follow, and you don't just watch the course, you watch a video, you apply it, you make something for yourself, and then you watch the next video and you do the next step. That kind of stuff is great because people who are lost, they don't even know where to start. They need someone to walk them through every single step of the way. I've personally created 2 different programs, one for all of music production and one just for EDM. And you could check out those courses in the description of this video. They are seriously amazing. It's like over 150 videos. I mean, today somebody literally just posted in one of the private groups, "It's been 2 years since I joined this wonderful course and it was exactly what I needed. I really needed to learn a structured way to produce music, and thank God I found Ethan." And he said, "Because of this, I've been able to produce multiple songs myself." And he goes on and on and says it was worth every penny. I put so much effort into it, and I'm regularly building out more and more videos. When I launched my first course, it was like 40 videos. So yeah, I mean, it's grown over 100 more videos since then. So all that to say, if that sounds interesting to you, you can just check that out in the description of this video. And if you just want to keep watching videos, that's totally fine. You don't have to buy my course, although it would really help you. But the biggest thing is just like, try and make some music. Maybe you never have. Maybe you're afraid of opening up a DAW. Ableton has a 30-day free trial. Just download Ableton and just start tinkering around a little bit. Like, you never know what could happen. And the ability to get ideas from your head to come out of a pair of speakers is such a gift. It's like having an incredible superpower. And I want to be able to give other people the ability to experience what that's like. So yeah, maybe this is the year that you actually do something about this sort of ambiguous goal of making music someday. And if you're already making music, just set time aside that you never miss. It's like I spend an hour a week producing, or maybe it's an hour a day, or maybe it's like an hour a month. Figure out a time that you can actually stick to and show up every day. That's what tip 15 originally was. It was show up. But yeah, I would never finish an album unless I scheduled it. It's really easy to kind of start ideas, but in order to take stuff across the finish line, you have to have a schedule and you have to stick to it. Otherwise, it just won't happen. So yeah, I know I rambled a bit. First video 2026, and hopefully many more to come. Now, please, please, please remember to stop making excuses and start making music. Cheers.